tacomalanguage.com. If you are interested in taking Spanish lessons with me, or perhaps a class for true beginners or a class for intermediate speakers, you can do that at tacomalanguage.com. tacomalanguage.com. You go there, you fill out a simple one-page application just to make sure that you're a good fit for the program. And then once you're accepted, you're able to start signing up for lessons and signing up for classes. We have some classes that will be available this summer, and private lessons are available before then as well. And so be taking a look at that, tacomalanguage.com. If you're not sure what to sign up for, there is a free language evaluation you can do at tacomalanguage.com, and it will evaluate your level. It'll give you a good estimate of where you should be focusing your time and what you should be working on to get to that next stage. Hey, once again, that's Tacoma Language Academy, tacomalanguage.com. Hola, 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 y bienvenidos a otro episodio de Listen, Read, Interact. Welcome to another episode of Listen, Read, Interact. This is episode number 83. You can follow along at the show notes at listenreadinteract.com/83. Lots of good stuff at the show notes page, including transcripts of the readings that you'll hear on the show, transcripts and translations of the example sentences, plus a bunch of interactive activities such as multiple choice and true and false and fill in the blank and order the sentences and order the paragraphs and so on and so forth. Today's episode is a lesson for beginners. If you are in need of even more basic vocabulary, hey, that's normal. You can go to listenreadinteract.com/start, and you can take the Start Here course. Once again, that's listenreadinteract.com/start, and you'll find a bunch of story-based lessons that you can go through and build some basic vocabulary. Really, the trick for learning any language, I find, is to get your hooks into the language somehow. So when I'm learning a new language, I definitely go out of my way to learn some high-frequency vocabularies, things like to want, to go, to eat, to have, to, those kinds of things, to put, to like. Those are some high-frequency words that go a long way in helping you communicate the things that you would like to be able to communicate. Now, it is one of these things where there is a huge barrier to get into the language because everything is new, and it can be intimidating, it can be scary, it can feel uncomfortable. Everyone has different tolerances for what they feel comfortable with in terms of, if I can't express exactly what I want to express, am I going to be okay with that? And if you can tolerate a little bit of that uncertainty, a little bit of that, I can't communicate everything I want to, and you just stick with it, then you're into the language. And once you get past that first initial hurdle, then it becomes actually quite a bit easier for you. And you will go up this curve and you'll get better and better and better at the language. You might plateau occasionally and then go up a little bit more and then plateau and then go up a little bit more. And then as you get closer to native level, the number of hours required to get to that next level go up again. And so it's like you put in all this effort, and you're getting close to native level. And then you might notice some diminishing returns where you're going to have to spend lots and lots of time to clean up some little things that will get you to be more like a native speaker. And so many people, especially adult learners, will end up not reaching that native level or near native level proficiency because, hey, we got other things going on in our lives, right? We've got families and jobs and pets to take care of and kids to take care of and all of this stuff. So I get it. I totally understand. And I would say that's probably the norm. I've been teaching Spanish. My name is Andrew, by the way. I've been teaching Spanish for at least 16, 17 years here. And over that time, I have noticed that, yes, non-nativeness is the norm. That's typical, right? We hear people who learn another language, even who are quite proficient, they'll still have artifacts in their language, like an accent, for example. And that's totally normal. That's to be expected, in fact. I happen to really like accents, so I don't have a problem if I've got a bit of an accent in a new language that I'm learning. I don't mind that too much. I try my best, but some of the accent's going to come through, and it's kind of nice. It's kind of a nice little flair, a nice little difference in the way that I speak, and I am actually kind of proud of that. But I understand, like, also the prestige of speaking a language and really getting the pronunciation down and feeling that native level production, and that's a lot of fun as well. That's really, really fun too. And I've experienced both ends of that, and I've felt it myself, and so I totally understand. And so what happens is, as you get closer to that native level, you will probably notice that it was going to require a lot more time to maybe fix your fix your accent, or stop saying some things that maybe a native speaker wouldn't say, etc. And so that just takes a tremendous amount of time and effort, and the return on that maybe isn't so big. Like, if you're a pretty proficient speaker, maybe you don't need to have a perfect academic Spanish. And so there's a trade-off with that. If you're brand new to the language, I think just the thing is, can you get through that initial barrier of not knowing anything? And if you can know some high-frequency stuff, then all of a sudden you're able to get your hooks into the language and pull yourself along to that next level. And actually, it does get easier. It does start to become easier. You become more proficient, and you will go through periods where you kind of plateau and then bump up to that next level. I know that I've experienced that learning languages as well. So that is a normal part of the process. Listen, read, interact. The whole point of this show is to get you things to listen to, things to read, and things to interact with to help you acquire language over time. Now, each episode so far has been, especially lately, has been developed to have 3 parts to it. So part 1 is a pre-reading and interaction phase. So if you go to the show notes page, listenreadinteract.com/83, since this is episode 83, you'll see that part 1 is a pre-reading and interaction phase, and that bit is all about, can we understand the example sentences that are there? Now, there's some definitions that help you get there. There's a fill-in-the-blank quiz. There's even some ordering the words to form complete sentences. But the idea is, if you can listen to and read these example sentences and understand them easily, then you're ready to move on to part 2. And part 2 is a brief reading. Now, that brief reading is designed to build directly from part 1. So if you did well in part 1, part 2 is then available to you to do the next bit, right? So you're able to help pull yourself along by listening to that reading along at the show notes page, and then interacting with the language. There's a true or false quiz. There's a survey you can take. More ways to interact and process messages. That's really the name of the game. The more messages you can process in Spanish internally, the more likely you are to acquire Spanish, because your brain will hear the sounds and it will say, oh, those sounds in that particular order carried this message. Let's try to remember that. Whereas if you don't understand every word or most of what you hear, your brain says, we processed it, but we didn't understand anything. That didn't carry any meaning. Those sounds in that order must just be noise. Let's throw that away and put that through the garbage collector. So that's what that is. Process many, many messages. So part 1, part 2, if you can finish those, wonderful. You're now in good position to do part 3. Let's go to part 3. And part 3 is really the bread and butter. That's where I want us to get to. It is the complete reading. There is a longer version of the story that this episode is based off of. And there are more things to interact with, and there's more output involved in part 3. So really, I would probably recommend that you take today's episode and not listen to it all at once, but instead make it part of your language learning routine, where you do part 1 one day, part 2 another day, and part 3 a third day. If you're feeling good, maybe you do part 1 and part 2 in one day and part 3 another day. But the idea is if you can spread it out over time and process as many messages as you can in the language, then you are going to be in really good shape for picking up language. It's a numbers game. How many hours of intentional processing can you do where you're listening to Spanish and trying to understand what the message is? Where you can read Spanish and try to understand what the message is. Once you've reached, 500 hours or so, you're going to be pretty proficient in Spanish. You might still say things, in fact, you will still say things that a native speaker wouldn't say, but you'll start to talk more like a native speaker all the time. And at that point, you're going to be able to find materials that are very, very interesting to you. Movies on TV and on Netflix, you'll be able to find stuff on YouTube and podcasts. Before that, it's kind of tricky because maybe you don't understand enough for it to be worth your time. Maybe some more leveled materials will be a better use of your time. But the trick there is, can you find something that's interesting to you? A really good activity is reading, by the way. A really good activity is reading graded novels that are set for learners. I've got a really good one, not to toot my own horn. It's called La Piña de la Verdad. La Piña de la Verdad. The Pineapple of Truth. And that's available on Amazon. There's a link in the show notes page. You'll find it there. La Piña de la Verdad. It's a good one. I enjoyed that one. We got a few novels that I've written over the years for my students and for learners, and it's a good use of your time to go through a novel like that and really try to process as many messages as you can by forgetting that you're even listening to Spanish or forgetting that you're even reading Spanish. Just try to put yourself in the situation to process messages by hearing a story, reading a story. Children do this in their native language, and it works very well for them. When my daughter was little, we used to read a book to her, and she would have this story memorized. Not just memorized, it was by heart. She heard it 2 times, and she was already predicting. This little prediction engine inside her head is predicting the next words. And so it's very, 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 very cool to see that play out in someone learning their first language and second language at the same time. But also, I've seen it play out all the time with my learners. So, hey, pick up a book, read these short readings, and if you can get through these short readings and you can develop enough of language, then you can get into these graded readers, and then you can start to really just learn through story in a very natural way. That's kind of what I like about Listen, Read, Interact, is it's very story-based. Everything's based around a story, and that makes sense since we are storytelling creatures. We're going to start the show. You'll hear the music, and once the music starts, we'll be in Spanish for part 1, and for part 2, we'll have a brief intermission, and we'll go back into Spanish for part 3. Muchas gracias, y vamos a empezar. Ejemplos. Mi hermano se despierta a las 10 los fines de semana. Mi hermano se despierta a las 10 los fines de semana. Mi hermano se despierta a las 10 los fines de semana. 2. El tren sale temprano en la mañana. El tren sale temprano en la mañana. El tren sale temprano en la mañana. 3. Miro el reloj en la estación de tren. Miro el reloj en la estación de tren. Miro el reloj en la estación de tren. 4. Tengo una prueba de inglés mañana. Tengo una prueba de inglés mañana. Tengo una prueba de inglés mañana. 5. El examen es difícil, pero interesante. El examen es difícil, pero interesante. El examen es difícil, pero interesante. 6. Mi entrenador es estricto en la práctica. Mi entrenador es estricto en la práctica. Mi entrenador es estricto en la práctica. 7. No voy a la fiesta porque tengo una excusa. No voy a la fiesta porque tengo una excusa. No voy a la fiesta porque tengo una excusa. 8. Llamo al restaurante para hacer una reservación. Llamo al restaurante para hacer una reservación. Llamo al restaurante para hacer una reservación. Lectura breve. Mi nombre es Carmen. Vivo en la Ciudad de México. Soy joven. Tengo 21 años. También soy baja y bonita. Soy estudiante en la universidad ahora, pero tengo un sueño para el futuro. Yo quiero ser futbolista profesional. Este cuatrimestre estudio 4 materias académicas. Estudio arte y la educación física. También tengo una clase de filosofía y una clase de medicina deportiva. Me gustan mis clases, pero la clase de medicina deportiva es difícil. La profesora es muy estricta. Un martes por la mañana me despierto muy temprano. Miro el reloj. Son las 6:30. Pienso en mi prueba de medicina deportiva. La prueba es a las 8, pero no estoy preparada y no quiero tomar la prueba. Entonces pienso en una excusa. llamo a mi profesora y digo que no puedo tomar la prueba. Le digo que mi gato comió mi carro y que tengo que llevarlo al veterinario. Luego, cuelgo el teléfono. Pues muy bien. Listen, Read, Interact is a value for value show, which means that if you're finding value in the show, all I ask is that you send value back this way. And you can do that with your time, talent, or treasure. So you can take the time to ask a language acquisition question. You can mail me at Andrew at, what's my email? Andrew at readtospeak.com. Andrew at readtospeak.com. Or you can, if you're an author, let's say a Spanish language author, and want to have some of your work showcased on Listen, Read, Interact, we can work together to make some nice comprehension activities that go along with your work, or maybe a chapter of your work, or a couple of chapters of your work. If you want to promote a novel or something, I'd be down for that. So send me a message, Andrew at, what's my email? Andrew at readtospeak.com. You can also send your support to the show via monetary donation. You can do that via PayPal or Stripe, which is like a credit card donation, and you can do that at listenreadinteract.com/donate. listenreadinteract.com/donate. You can donate any amount, any frequency. There's a link as well in the episode description on your podcast player there. listenreadinteract.com/donate. Amounts of $50 and above, I'll read your name, amount, and location on the show. And if you've got a short note for me, I will read that as well. And if you've got a donation under that, I'll keep you anonymous for reasons of anonymity. I appreciate those $4 weekly sustaining donations. That does make a huge difference when times are slow. Thank you so much for donating to the show and to keeping us going. The commitment is to do 100 episodes. And if the commitment is still there after 100 episodes, I think we're going to keep going. I'm enjoying writing these. I'm enjoying making content for people who want to learn Spanish. And so I'm enjoying that a lot. And so if the donation support is there, we're going to keep going. Hey, a really good idea might be to donate the number of shows you've listened to, that amount. So let's say you've listened to 10 shows and you feel like, okay, we're going to donate $10 that way, or $100 because maybe you do $10 an episode, or maybe 50 because you do $5 an episode. I've had some of those before. Or just donate the amount that is the number of episodes that's there. So I don't know. We have this is episode number 83, so $83 would be a good amount, or 84 for next week. Hey, I appreciate you so much. Anyone who has donated and everyone who's thinking about donating, thank you so much for supporting the show. Let's get back to listening to some Spanish. Vamos a continuar. Lectura completa. En el Valle de México está una ciudad inmensa. Tiene muchos nombres. La Ciudad de México, el DF, el Distrito Federal, simplemente México. México es la capital de los Estados Unidos mexicanos. En esta ciudad viven más de 22 millones de habitantes. Entre las multitudes vive una joven que se llama Carmen. Tiene 21 años. Es una mujer baja y bonita. También es inteligente y atlética. Carmen tiene un sueño para el futuro. Quiere ser una futbolista profesional. Sin embargo, en este momento no es una futbolista profesional. Es estudiante en la universidad. Este cuatrimestre, Carmen estudia 4 materias académicas. Estudia el arte y la educación física. También tiene una clase de filosofía y una de medicina deportiva. Por lo general, a Carmen le gustan sus clases, pero la clase de medicina deportiva es difícil para Carmen. Le es difícil porque la profesora, la doctora Felicia Hernández, es muy estricta. El martes, Carmen está en su casa. Se despierta y mira el reloj. Son las 5:15 de la mañana. La joven se frota los ojos y piensa: ¡ay, no! Tengo una prueba hoy. Es una prueba de medicina deportiva y es una clase muy difícil. La prueba es a las 11 de la mañana, pero no quiero tomarla. No estoy preparada para la prueba. Necesito hablar con la profesora Hernández, pero primero tengo que pensar en una excusa. Así que Carmen piensa y piensa. Finalmente piensa en una buena excusa. Entonces saca su teléfono y llama a la profesora Hernández. «¿Aló?», contesta la profesora Hernández. «Hola, profesora Hernández», dice Carmen. «Soy yo, Carmen, de su clase de medicina deportiva de las 11 de la mañana». «¿Está todo bien?», pregunta la profesora Hernández. «No, la verdad es que no», dice Carmen. «Mire, no puedo tomar la prueba hoy». «¿No puedes tomar la prueba hoy? ¿Qué ocurre?» «Es que mi gato comió mi carro». «¿Tu gato comió tu carro?» «Sí, continúa Carmen. Mi gato comió mi carro y ahora está enfermo y tengo que llevarlo al veterinario. Ay, estoy por entrar en un túnel. Tengo que colgar. Gracias por entender mi situación. Que tenga un buen día». Bueno, muchas gracias. Thank you for listening to today's episode. There's a new episode every Saturday, so go ahead and check us out next week. Please remember us at listenreadinteract.com/donate. Your donations really do help keep the show going. If you're interested in Spanish lessons, check out tacomalanguage.com. And if you missed the show notes page, hey, that's worth the price of admission. Part of the value that we offer is that cool show notes page. So listenreadinteract.com/83. Thank you so much. Y hasta la próxima.